Raining, and there's a storm coming in, and I came down from Boston. It was raining already, so we've had a lot of luck with the weather. This idea of this rally in the campaign against nukes was Priscilla Starr's idea, who I've known for many years. She was in tears for weeks and weeks after Fukushima because she understood what it meant. And so one woman has organised this whole thing with simultaneous rallies throughout the United States. A hand for Priscilla. I want to thank Marley Lightfoot, who is my executive director, who organised the whole thing in a very professional manner. And also I want to thank all the speakers who have spoken just before me, all of whom are my close friends. And really there's nothing more for me to say, except I'm fed up with this bloody industry. I'm an Australian, I say bloody and I mean it. And we've got to stop being so goddamn polite. I've been doing this for 41 years. I'm 73. I'll be dead soon. I'll be dropping off my perch, and I'm sick of it. And we've got to get some indignation in our guts. And you can talk forever about this and that. I mean, I've got books full of it. 1 million people dying right now or have died because of Chernobyl, and it's only 25 years ago. How many millions more will Chernobyl kill? 40% of the European landmass is radioactive. Will be for hundreds of years. Nuclear accidents never cease. They never cease because the food is radioactive for the rest of time. Well, why doesn't the president know this? He's an intelligent man. He's got 2 little girls he loves. What the hell does he think he's up to supporting the nuclear industry? It's wicked because the nuclear industry is a death industry. It's killing people and will for the rest of time, as you've just heard from Kevin. It's a cancer industry. It's a bomb industry. Any country that gets to react can make bombs, and then you get proliferation of weapons and an inevitable nuclear war, and then we'll all be dead. We'll all be dead. And you know that of the 22,000 hydrogen bombs in the world today, Russia and America own 97%, and they're targeting us. Right now, as I speak, there are 40 hydrogen bombs targeted on New York City, right here, from Russia, who are now our friends. And does anyone ever talk about that, the elephant in the sitting room? What the Christ are people doing? Because we're not going to survive. No, it's not. Well, Wall Street, what's happening down there is extremely important. We've got to have the guts to take on the corporations. People in this country have the audacity not to vote. In Australia, it's compulsory. But more than that, people vote and then leave a vacuum and don't even know who their Congress people are, those senators. They've got to get to know them and move in and take over the Congress, of, for and by the people, not of, for and by the corporations. And into that vacuum move the corporations. And it's time you took your country back. And I mean that, and I mean that's bodies. And it's souls. And don't sit in front of your Facebooks all day, or your television, or your or whatever it is. But use your bodies like they did in Wisconsin. Do a Tahrir Square here. Take back New York. Take back the Congress. Invade the Congress. Those people belong to you. They are your representatives and you are their leaders. But you've got to have some guts. And stop being so goddamn polite all the time. And don't need approval. Step up to the plate. Anyway, Harvey's on now because it's raining, and I've got nothing else to say. I was going to tell you a lot about meltdowns and how you're going to die and everything, but you've already heard it. And we all have to die sometime, but we don't want future generations to die of epidemics of cancer, leukemia and genetic disease. I've just been with my grandson, age 2. If anyone can, well, I'm a pacifist, but look, I mean, it just makes me feel like weeping. How many children have I helped to die in my life with cystic fibrosis? How many children have I helped to die of leukemia? We're talking about the sanctity of life, not money. And money is nothing. I debated with people on international CNN or whatever it was, 2 of them, 3 of them, and all they talked about was the market. And I said, so you're going to kill the earth for the market? These men are sociopaths. They've got no moral conscience. None. except when they're dying or their children are dying, and then their souls open up and you see the beauty with which they were born as babies. That's what we've got to get to, and we've got to be emotional. Because if I tell two parents in the office that their child has leukemia and they show no emotional response, I get them a psychiatrist. All these men operate from their reptilian midbrains and use their left cortex to justify what their emotions want them to do, and a lot of it's about testosterone. I'm fed up with testosterone.
What do you want to do?
Shut it down!
When do you want to do it?
Now!
What do you want to do?
Shut it down!
Are you going to work for it?
Yes!
Are you going to tell your neighbors?
Yes!
Are you going to tell your politicians?
Yes!
Then we will shut it down. That's exactly what we are going to do. The sooner the better.
Last week at this time I was on the Hudson River and I got to see Dr. Helen Caldicott speak. And she spoke passionately, and you know what her advice was to everybody? Don't be so polite about it. So in the spirit of not being so polite, I would like you to sing the song with me, and the chorus goes like this. Kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. If we don't close in the end point, kiss your ass goodbye. That's right. Sing it. Kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. If we don't close in the end point, kiss your ass goodbye. My George, I think they've got it. There's a place called Indian Point. It's an unsafe nuclear joint, threatens everybody, and it poisons everything. It's worse on a public safety list. It's a target for a terrorist. We have a chance to shut it down, and this is why we say, kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. If we don't close in the end point, kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. If we don't close in the end point, kiss your ass goodbye. Within 50 miles of where it is, 21 million people live. A good part of our country could be gone with one mistake. Or a bomb, or an airplane. The question remains who again, jeopardizing people's lives, the chances that we take. Kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. If we don't close in the point, kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. If we don't close in the point, kiss your ass goodbye. Now this thing about nuclear energy, you know, it doesn't make much sense to me. After all, waste disposal is impossible, and it threatens. The threat grows every day. It shows up in the baby teeth, in the air, in the water underneath, causing everyone I know to live in fear and say, what do I say? Kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. If we don't close in the point, kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. If we don't close in the end point, kiss your ass goodbye. Now they're asking us to believe. If things go wrong, then we can leave. Do they think we're stupid? No! There's no evacuation plan. Hell, they'd sit in traffic till you died. All the time you'd wonder why we didn't stop it. Then we gotta do it while we can. Kiss your ass goodbye. Now it's time for the last verse.
You can't file an insurance claim. You can't find someone else to blame. You will not be protected by those corporate rules and regs. So give yourself and life a chance. Disable nuclear bombs and plants, or you can bend right over. Put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. If we don't close Indian Point, kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. If we don't close Indian Point, kiss your ass goodbye. One more time. Kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. If we don't close Indian Point, kiss your ass goodbye. With harmony. Kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. If we don't close Indian Point, kiss your ass goodbye. Thank you very much. Elizabeth Band on one. Elegant Library.
Hey, how you doing? I just came by to say hello. You know, I work for the gas company, and I just happen to be in the neighborhood. You know, I was thinking, you must get tired of working that rate in that hole, and I can make you lots more money than those potatoes. I know you probably heard lots of that propaganda about how fracking is bad for the environment and we are out to destroy the land and blah blah. Don't believe it. It's safe as the day is long. We drill, you collect money, nothing can go wrong. So what do you say, huh? No fracking way, not on my land. No fracking way, I'm talking to you, man. I don't frack with me, and I won't frack with you. Go frack yourself. Go home. Don't be a dope. I got the law on my side. I paid Mr. Cheney in advance, and I'm gonna get my free ride. If you're smart, I'll cut you in. This is a big idea, you see. There's gonna be plenty of gas and cash money. So what do you say? No fracking way, not on my land. No fracking way, I'm talking to you, man. I don't frack with me, and I won't frack with you. Go frack yourself. Go home. Hey, wait now. Everything would be so cool if you would just settle in. There'll be plenty clean, clear water from the icebergs. You know they're melting. Yeah. And the water from your tap, it'll be the colors of the rainbow. And if someone lights a match, well, that would be a show. So come on, what do you say, huh? No fracking way, not on my land. Let me hear you.
No fracking way!
Hey, I'm talking to you, man. I don't frack with me, and I won't frack with you. Go frack yourself, bro. Go home. Yeah. 'Cause I ain't no schmo, bro. Go home. I seen that gas man video, so go home. Get out of here!
Additionally, we had told you earlier from Ryan Devereaux of Democracy Now!, who was on the program earlier in the week, that he reports from Broadway and Wall Street. Protesters attempted to enter the Wall Street area after the basically 12-block march from Foley Square back to Zuccotti Park via City Hall. That police pushed back. Fights ensued, random pepper spraying into that crowd that tried to occupy Wall Street, literally to get onto Wall Street. Police on horseback came out. More police showed up. Arrests were made. And Ryan Devereaux said he personally saw at least 20 people arrested. Obviously nothing close to the 700 at Brooklyn Bridge on Saturday, but barricades were knocked down. And so after an extraordinarily peaceful and accomplish-filled day for the Occupy Wall Street protesters, as night falls in New York, it's an entirely different scene, and we're going to continue to provide you with details as they come into us here at the control desk. For the whole of the time that the Occupy Wall Street protesters have been making their case for a sea change in the way we Americans permit big business to draw and quarter and circumscribe our lives. Media, too corrupt or too dense to understand anything more complicated than whether the blonde is missing or the verdict is guilty, have parroted, "What do they want? What is their catchphrase?" In our third story, it is not a catchphrase, but it is a declaration of what they want. that the document, which I will read in full in a moment, is not a list of laws to be repealed nor politicians to be elected, may only confuse the precocious ninth graders now passing for TV anchor newsmen these days. But the absence of the kind of painted footsteps with which they used to mark the floors of dance instruction studios is, in a way, breathtaking. The 2x4 that Errol Lewis described. It implies that there is so much to change, that such a tipping point has been reached, that some easy-to-apply band-aids just are not going to be enough. And it implies that the commentators and politicians and moneyed interests that do not come to understand the scope of what must change will be without influence and without power before they realize that the change has happened. So with that as preamble, here is, formally and finally, what Occupy Wall Street says and wants. It is, in essence, their special comment. As we gather together in solidarity to express a feeling of mass injustice, we must not lose sight of what brought us together. We write so that all people who feel wronged by the corporate forces of the world can know that we are your allies. As one people, united, we acknowledge the reality that the future of the human race requires the cooperation of its members, that our system must protect our rights, and upon corruption of that system, it is up to the individuals to protect their own rights and those of their neighbors, that the democratic government derives its just power from the people. But corporations do not seek consent to extract wealth from the people and the earth, and that no true democracy is attainable when the process is determined by economic power. We come to you at a time when corporations, which place profit over people, self-interest over justice, and oppression over equality, run our governments. We have peaceably assembled here, as is our right, to let these facts be known. They have taken our houses through an illegal foreclosure process despite not having the original mortgage. They have taken bailouts from taxpayers with impunity and continue to give executives exorbitant bonuses. They have perpetuated inequality and discrimination in workplaces based on age, the color of one's skin, sex, gender identity, and sexual orientation. They have poisoned the food supply through negligence and undermined the farming system through monopolization. They have profited off the torture, confinement, and cruel treatment of countless animals and actively hide these practices. They have continuously sought to strip employees of the right to negotiate for better pay and safer working conditions. They have held students hostage with tens of thousands of dollars of debt on education, which is itself a human right. They have consistently outsourced labor and used that outsourcing as leverage to cut workers' health care and pay. They have influenced the courts to achieve the same rights as people with none of the culpability or responsibility. They have spent millions of dollars on legal teams that look for ways to get them out of contracts in regards to health insurance. They have sold our privacy as a commodity. They have used the military and police force to prevent freedom of the press. They have deliberately declined to recall faulty products, endangering lives in pursuit of profit. They determine economic policy despite the catastrophic failures their policies have produced and continue to produce. They have donated large sums of money to politicians who are responsible for regulating them. They continue to block alternate forms of energy to keep us dependent on oil. They continue to block generic forms of medicine that could save people's lives or provide relief in order to protect investments that have already turned a substantial profit. They have purposely covered up oil spills, accidents, faulty bookkeeping, and inactive ingredients in pursuit of profit. They purposefully kept people misinformed and fearful through their control of the media. They have accepted private contracts to murder prisoners, even when presented with serious doubts about their guilt. They have perpetuated colonialism at home and abroad. They have participated in the torture and murder of innocent civilians overseas. They continue to create weapons of mass destruction in order to receive government contracts. To the people of the world, we, the New York City General Assembly, occupying Wall Street and Liberty Square, urge you to assert your power, exercise your right to peaceably assemble, occupy public space, create a process to address the problems we face, and generate solutions accessible to everyone. To all communities that take action and form groups in the spirit of direct democracy, we offer support, documentation, and all of the resources at our disposal. Join us and make your voices heard. The statement issued from Zuccotti Park by the General Assembly at Occupy Wall Street. We'll continue to update you on the events and the violence that ensued this evening.
Every time you pick up the newspaper, every time you switch on the TV, you can bet your old boots that at some point you'll see a rank GOP, calling on all who are meant to be free to stand up to defend law and order. It's illegal to rip off a payroll. It's illegal to hold up a train. But it's legal to rip off $1 million or $2 that comes from the labor that other folk do to plunder the many, enriching the few is a thing that is perfectly legal. It's illegal to kill off your landlord or to trespass on his estate. But to charge a high rent for a slum is okay. To condemn 2 adults and 3 children to stay in a hovel that's rotten with damp and decay. It's a thing that is perfectly legal. If you fashion a bomb in your kitchen, you are guilty of breaking the law. But a bloody great nuclear plant is okay, as plutonium processing hastens the day where the place you are living gets blasted away. Nonetheless, it is perfectly legal. It is legal to fracture your neighbors and to ruin their water and land. And you don't have to tell what you used to pollute while your public relations seem truthful and cute. Just taking the profits while wearing the suit. It's a thing that is perfectly legal. It's illegal to kill off your missus or put poison in your old man's tea. But poison the rivers, the seas, and the skies, and poison the minds of a nation with lies. It's all in the name of free enterprise. Better still, it is perfectly legal. Well, it's legal to sing on the telly, but make bloody sure that you don't. If you sing about racists and fascists and creeps and those in high places who live off the weak and those who are selling us right up a creek, the twisters, the takers, the con men, the fakers, the whole bloody lot of exploiters. Now, the song could end there, but what do we do? Well, it's legal to protest your anger and vote out the fools you don't trust. And it's illegal to talk to your friends every day and organize people and show them the way to boycott the criminals and make them pay the big corporations, their friends in high stations. The future is